code. You can stop in there anytime. Also in Omaha, 168th and Burke at Village Point, and also in Papillion on our new location, because apparently I had 3 customers this week that came into Papillion who said they didn't even know we moved. But, I mean, we moved like in January. So the new location, we're not on 72nd anymore. We're on 84th and Highway 370. 866-496-8772. Those are the numbers to join us on the program today. Ask a question, make a comment, and we'll put you in the drawing for the $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. Good for anything your heart desires over at the Service Center. You can use their... You know what I need to ask Alfonso to do over at the Schrock Interactive team? We have these paper gift certificates we send out for when people win this stuff. We have like a whole e-commerce website. Why don't we have like a code you can use on the website? Wouldn't that make more sense? Then you could use the code on the website, and then if you weren't like geographically close, you wouldn't have to wait for the mailman to bring you your paper certificate. And then, we do live in the 21st century. You know how you see online these, tech from the past. I think last week on Facebook, we had a pretty cool story. It was tech from the 70s that, 60s and 70s, stuff that changed your world that you don't even think about today. Like, does anyone ever wonder when the first barcode scanner was ever used? Like, at the grocery store, boop, boop, boop. It didn't always used to be that way, kids. It used to be back in the day, you just had to type in the price. Yeah, it was pretty crazy, right? So, like, stupid things like that. You don't even think about it now. Boop, they scan the barcode. Boop, you buy your gift card. You scan your gift card into your app and you spend it where, it's like, we should probably get with the times here. I mean, that was 1968. So we're going to get working on that. I'm gonna note to self, get Alfonso working on that. But this week's going to be a pretty busy week over at Schrock. Normally, this is our slower time of year, so I would advise you, if you do have any prepaid preventative maintenance checkup certificates that you want to use, that you purchased while they were on sale, and you wanted to make sure you got some good turnaround times, now is an excellent time to come in. All 3 service centers are just under capacity right now, which I know I just said this is our slow time of year, and all 3 service centers are just under capacity, meaning they're almost full. But wow, I have to tell you, it's been a weird. The weather's been weird this spring, and the whole slow season has been weird this spring, which is kind of great. It kind of skipped it so far. That's the scary part. There's the asterisk so far. But so now's a great time to come in with those certificates. If you want to get that quick turnaround time on those, we'd be happy to get you all taken care of. We're also broadcasting live this morning on Facebook at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. If you are a Facebook user, or even if you're not a Facebook user, if you don't have a Facebook account, you can still go to facebook.com/Schrock Innovations, and you don't have to be you don't have to have a Facebook account to watch the show there if you'd like. We also take the video every week and post it on our website at SchrockInnovations.com. So if you miss part of the program, have to go into church, have to go into the store, doing whatever you're doing this morning, guess what? You can pick up right where you left off anytime that's convenient for you. Right at SchrockInnovations.com. 866-496-8772. It's also going to be busy in the Service Center this week for our Data Recovery Lab. I am actually going to Las Vegas this Friday. Oh, yeah. Everyone's like, woohoo, Thor's going to Vegas, baby. Oh, yeah, but I don't gamble and I don't drink. So what do you do in Vegas if you don't gamble and you don't drink? You attend Ace Lab's Data Recovery Conference at the Tropicana. Yeah, retro, baby. They're having one of the most advanced technology things that you could possibly do with hard drives and data recovery. And they're having it in a retro, like an old casino. I was like, oh my gosh. So they go into the Tropicana. So I fly out Friday morning at like 5:45 in the morning, and I fly back in like Friday night, or actually it'll be Saturday morning, about 1:15. So I'm going to be gone for a total of like less than 24 hours. Flying in and out the same. That's life when you have a new baby at home, guys. You can't look at your wife and be like, dear, I know we now have 3 children, and one of them is an infant, and the other one is, some special needs, and I need to go to Vegas. So you got this, right? I'm going to be gone for a weekend. I'll be back. Especially when you don't drink or don't gamble. I mean, you're just asking to get... See, there's reasons I don't do that stuff, guys. And it's because I get into trouble. I don't want to get into trouble. I want to be a good boy. So I'm going to fly out there. I'm going to go to my conference. I'm going to fly back. But this conference is really cool. Well, it's really cool from a tech geeky perspective. I'm not going to get into all the the stupid stuff with you because that'd just be boring. But some cool stuff that they're going to tell us about doing. They have a new piece of equipment that we're actually looking at purchasing for our data recovery lab, which allows you to recover solid-state hard drives with failed controller chips. You know, the solid-state drives, there's only two different chips in there. There's the controller chip and the memory chip. And one of the two fails, right? Then your drive doesn't work. Usually it's the controller chip that fails. And so what if you could bypass that controller chip and like emulate it with software and then recover the data from the drive? They have a piece of equipment that we're going to be looking at that actually does that, which is going to be pretty cool. There's also new drives that are coming in Max, the Fusion drives. How do you recover those? They're completely different technology. We're going to take a look at that at the conference, as well as some demonstrations of some of their existing technology, some pretty cool stuff. But what all this means, this is part of Schrock's ongoing commitment to making sure that our data recovery lab right here in Omaha, Nebraska, stays current, has the best technology, has the best methods, has everything. I'm literally going to take my Facebook webcam that I'm using right now, and I'm going to try to record the session. I'm going to see if they kick me out. I'm going to try to record the session so that I can take it back to the other engineers in the lab and say, hey guys, you know, we all couldn't fly to Vegas. Sorry, I had to sacrifice for the team, guys. But here's the video of everything that happened there, so you guys can take a look and see kind of what's what. But we really have a commitment to staying on top of that stuff, because when we do a recovery in the lab, and it's kind of crazy. You know, a customer calls in with, you know, their precious family photos or something is lost on an external hard drive, and you tell them it's going to be $1,200 to $1,400 to get it back. And those are the worst. Those are some of the worst case ones. Sometimes they go up to $1,800, but sometimes they're as low as $400. But you know, let's just be serious. And the average is, you know, between $800 and $1,200, somewhere in there. And that's a lot of money to recover stuff off a failed drive. But it's a lot less money than you would be spending if you were doing the same thing with one of the national companies. It's about 50% less money. So on one hand, it's kind of like, you know, customers go, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. Like, I had a gentleman who brought in a computer. You know, he brought in a hard drive in a box. And he said on the work order, transfer the data from my hard drive to this other computer if the drive is healthy enough. So he knew the drive wasn't healthy. And so I get it back in the data recovery lab, and I'm doing all the work on it. It's got two heads that only work when you spin the drive backwards. No joke, and there's lots of technical reasons why you would do that, but you know, it takes out the drive seeking. It can't read ahead. It has to read backwards one sector at a time. So two heads only read backwards, and it needs a firmware fix, and then it needs a good 2 solid days on the imager before it's going to be ready to go. Quotes $1,200. And that's ridiculous, $1,200. He came and picked up his drive and took it home. I get it. You know, it's a lot of money. I understand. And sometimes the data that's on the drive isn't worth that, you know, that $1,200. It is what it is. I mean, you send that off to Drive Savers, it's a $3,000 recovery, $2,800. It always ends up around $2,800 there for some reason. It's kind of like every new piece of data recovery equipment magically ends up being about $10,000. It's weird how that works. Like the exact same R&D went into each one. 866-496-8772. Now, one of the other things that I talk about a lot on the program that we haven't done, well, we haven't talked about a lot lately, but there's a huge milestone with Drive Advisor. Drive Advisor this week topped 4,000 active users. Now, way more than that have tried Drive Advisor and either uninstalled it or, you know, got rid of their computer after they don't log in for so long. You know, we have to call them a lost subscriber, if you will. But Drive Advisor is completely free. We just got done telling you about the links that we go to for data recovery services. So I'm going to go to Vegas for a conference so I can learn about all the newest equipment, so that I can buy the newest equipment, so that I can train my technicians how to use the newest equipment, so that I can put that equipment in my data recovery lab, so when people come in with hard drives that they already know are bad and ask us to recover the data from, can get really, really upset with us when we tell them how much it's going to cost. Why am I doing this again? Oh, no. No, honestly, that's one gentleman. One gentleman got upset about it, but everybody else is really happy when, you know, when you're faced with the possibility of losing all those, you know, kid pictures, videos, things like that, things that you just can't recreate. It's one thing if you're losing business records, because it's not fun, but you can recreate those. You can't recreate those moments and those pictures and whatnot. So, yes, we have this wonderful, very nicely equipped data recovery lab. Do I want to see you in it? No. Because it leads to, it's not good service for me to wait until your drive fails full well knowing that your drive could be in a failure state right now on your computer. Your hard drive on your computer right now could be going bad and you would have no idea. It would work perfectly. That's one of the big myths. People think that their hard drive is going to ding, 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 or it's going to start clicking right away. Oh, no, 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 no. Now, when you had your first heart attack there, Bill, did it come on suddenly, or did you kind of notice that you were gaining weight and slowing down and, a little windy going up the stairs? You just put that up to, too many beignets and not enough treadmill, Yeah, there are signs that your health is in decline. There are signs that your hard drive's health is in decline. As you use a computer, it encounters errors. The hard drive will encounter errors, and it logs every single one of those errors. It's called a smart detection. The smart detection on the hard drive is internal to the hard drive. It's not in the motherboard or anything else. It's part of the hard drive. So if we take your hard drive out of your computer and hook it up to another computer, we can still read the same history of errors in the log file, if you will. And that will tell us what the hard drive's health is. And when that drive goes from 100% to 99%, it's effectively had a heart attack. You really don't want to have a drive in your computer that's having heart attack after heart attack after heart attack, because when you get down to Apple Drive doesn't want to transfer data level, you're at 40% or lower typically. At about 55% health, that's when you start seeing symptoms. That's when you start seeing weird things like files disappearing, or computers that either take so long to boot it's ridiculous, like minutes and minutes and minutes to boot, or they're super sluggish, they seem to lock up for no reason, or you might have to try 2 or 3 times to turn the computer on, like you hit the power button and it goes for a while, oh, it didn't boot, so you hold it down to turn it off, and then you turn it on again. Yeah, if you're doing stuff like that, 90% chance you have a bad hard drive right now and you don't even know it. That's why Drive Advisor has been such a blessing. Drive Advisor is absolutely free. DriveAdvisor.com, and it's spelled DriveAdvisor, E-R, DriveAdvisor.com. You can get it there, you download it, you install it on your computer. It asks you for your email address. The only thing it uses your email address for ever is to send you an email that your hard drive is bad. That's it. Nothing else. It's not used to send you promotional information about Schrock Innovations products and services. It's not sold to the highest bidder in online black market auctions. You won't find your email address on the dark net. No, actually, it's just used to send you an alert. And in fact, the alerts, when you get them, if you have Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, all the the big freebies, they sort them to promotion. So sometimes you don't even see the alert, which is why that little Drive Advisor icon down there on the bottom will change colors. You can also click on it, and it'll tell you what's going on with your drives, not just your internal drives, but your external drives as well. It'll tell you if they're healthy, because we would rather have you find out your drive is not healthy and spend $200 or $300 to get that fixed while the drive is healthy enough that everything can be transferred easily, than to have you be in the exact same boat 4 months, 5 months from now, saying, oh, wow, it's going to be $200 or $300 to fix my computer and $1,200 to recover those precious family memories that I didn't have backed up. You don't want to be in that boat. So Drive Advisor is our honest-to-God attempt to keep you out of the data recovery lab. And I can tell you, honestly, every customer that comes into the lab that has a failure, it's because they don't have Drive Advisor. None of them have it. Because if they did, they would know they had a failure before it got bad. One last thing I'm going to throw out here about data recovery, because I know some of you listening out there are going to believe this myth. You've heard of these NAS boxes, right? A network attached storage box. It's a box that you hook up to your network, and it's got 2 or 3 hard drives in it, and they're RAIDed, because RAID is like the magical backup solution that never fails, right? That's why RAID recoveries cost about $13,000, guys. You want to see a bad data recovery? Have your RAID box fail, and they do fail. In a given year, let's say, I'm just spitballing numbers here. Let's say there's a 10% chance in any given year that your hard drive is going to fail. So the solution to keep your data safe is I give you a box that has 3 hard drives in it. Any one of the 3 can fail, but not 2, because if 2 fail, then you're in my data recovery lab with a $13,000 bill. Oh, yeah, by the way, if one drive ever fails, this little light on this box is going to blink. If that light's blinking, you need to replace that hard drive as quickly as possible before the second one fails. Oh, and why do they usually fail in these boxes? Because of a power surge, but that's beside the point. Have a great day. Your dad is perfectly safe. Don't ever worry about it again. Oh my gosh, that is the absolute. It's gotten to the point now on these NAS boxes, on the packaging, they actually print not a backup device. It is not a backup device. A network attached storage these are not backup devices. They can fail just like any other hard drive. Some of them have 3 or 4 or 5 hard drives in them. If one goes down, you're okay. It's hot swappable. You can take that hard drive out. You can put a brand new clean hard drive in, and the system automatically knows what to do. Just bam, it's magical. As long as you have a network administrator standing there watching for the blinking light. Or you put it on the desk and you look for the blinking light. What ends up happening most of the time is it gets behind the monitor. It gets over on the set and over here. It's network attached. You can put it anywhere on the network. Some of them are wireless now. You can put it anywhere in the house. It gets, that phone nook you have in your older homes where that was the place where they designed where you could set the telephone and it had a little slot for a phone book underneath that's only about 2 inches thick. Now the phone book's fitting there again. Imagine that. Instead of your phone that you don't have anymore, you could put your backup storage device right in that nook right there. Yeah, and then you'll never see the light. But it's like the answering machine light or the voicemail light. You just never notice it's blinking, right? Oh, I hate that. Say, guys, I'd say I walk into the door now. Has anybody checked the voicemail in the last hour? Do we have any? Yeah, that red blinking light over there. That means we have some voicemail, guys. But so all I'm saying here is manufacturers turn off. The smart notification is usually broadcast to the computer so that when you turn your computer on, if your hard drive is failing, you'll get a message that says your hard drive failure is imminent. Press F2 to continue. Now, when that happens, you're still under warranty. So HP, Dell, all the biggies have to replace your hard drive under warranty, right? Wrong. They don't. Your hard drive could be bad, and until your computer stops working, they don't have to replace it under warranty, which is why we can detect hard drives are bad long before the computer stops working. Yeah, that's a good thing, but it also poses a problem for warranties. We solve those problems for customers. Don't worry about it. But the thing about it is most manufacturers don't want to be put into that awkward situation of having to tell a customer who's got a message right there on the screen that says their hard drive is dying, press F2 to continue. And the guy in tech support has to argue the point. Oh, no, sir, your hard drive is fine. Your computer boots just fine. We cannot replace it at this time under warranty. But every time I turn my computer on, it says it's dying. Oh, but it's not dead yet. What if we did medicine like that? Oh, I have this pain, doc. Oh, yeah, you're going to die. Oh, wow. Well, what do we do about that? Well, we can't do anything about it. You're not dead yet. Oh. That's literally what they do now. They turn off the smart notification because they don't want to be put in the position to explain that. So you never see the message. Press F2 to continue. Your computer just works on its merry little way, churning along until it's out of its warranty period after that first year and your manufacturer warranty runs out. And then you start experiencing symptoms of hard drive failure. That's one of the reasons why the average computer lasts people 18 to 24 months. Because your hard drive, if it's going to fail, it usually starts failing in the first year or the third year. So if it's failing in the first year and you don't even know it, yeah, you're gonna get a $200, $300, $400 repair bill in some cases, depending on what has to happen, or a $1,200 data recovery, and you might just decide to buy a new computer instead. And hence, that's one of the reasons why there's an 18-month cycle on new computers, basically, unless you have someone there that knows what they're doing to provide you the service. 866-496-8772. All right, we're going to take our first break of the program. Coming up, you are not going to believe what Australia did this week. I understand why Australia did it, but Amazon's response was priceless. I mean, talk about bold moves. This is the mother of bold moves. So we've got that coming up on the show here. Also, how long, if you buy a smartphone or a tablet, how long does the manufacturer of that device have to provide security updates to you? For a year? Now, when I say security updates, I mean new versions of Android. Do they have to patch it for a year? Do they have to patch it for 2 years? Or 5 years? Or forever? Well, now there's a court decision that tells the companies how long they must patch these things for, and you're not going to want to miss that later as well. More coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations can't teleport technicians to you, but online help is only a click away with the Schrock Desk. Subscribe today and get unlimited help whenever you need it. Every person listening to this broadcast has either experienced data loss or knows someone who has. When you think about it, you have a lot more data stored in many more places than you'd like to admit. Have you downloaded those videos from your phone, backed up the pictures on your iPad, or even tackled that sometimes daunting task of backing up your entire computer's hard drive? Most people just don't back up their stuff, and that's why Schrock Innovations has one of the most advanced data recovery centers in the Midwest. Equipped with the latest DDI data imaging devices, state-of-the-art custom recovery software, and Omaha's best data recovery technicians, Schrock Innovations has a 96.8% success rate when recovering data from damaged hard drives, flash drives, camera cards, and more. We all know we should back up our data, but if you are ever caught in a data loss nightmare, call the experts at Schrock Innovations to get your data back right where it belongs, safe and backed up on a stable hard drive. Compute This Pro Tip 299. There are enough mothballed computers in U.S. homes to give one to every man, woman, and child in the country. Many of these computers find their way into landfills where they can leak cadmium, lithium, and other nasty chemicals into the groundwater. Schrock Innovations is very proud of the fact that we recycle more e-waste every year than we create. You can drop off any old or broken computer equipment to our service centers at any time, free of cost. We only charge $15 just for monitors because they are especially difficult to process. No appointment is required, and we accept all computer-related equipment like printers, keyboards, speakers, and accessories. Additionally, the rare earth elements in computers can be recycled right here in the U.S. to reduce our reliance on supplies from foreign countries. Take a moment, drop off your old computer equipment today, and Schrock will make sure it's properly recycled and put to good use right here in the U.S. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company with service centers in Lincoln, Omaha, and Papillion, as well as online at SchrockInnovations.com. Lots of questions this week through email. Can I buy Endpoint on your website? Can I buy Secure Updater online? Can I do pretty much anything with Schrock online? Can I subscribe to the Schrock Desk online? Our brand new website at SchrockInnovations.com is completely interactive and online. So you can buy almost all of our products and services right there. You can also take a look at what's going on, the latest media and stuff that, usually we had a TV segment we posted every week on there. Now that the Morning Blend is gone, we don't have those TV segments anymore. So we're trying to decide what we want to do for our video, because we need to have it. Doing the radio show here thing, and putting that video up, that's a video, right? But it's a really long video. I mean, we want we need like a quick hit video every week. Like a pro tip or something. So we're kind of giving some thought to what we want to do with that. Also, quick program note, we are currently in negotiations with a very large radio station in Des Moines, Iowa to carry Compute This. More coming up on that soon, but hopefully in the next month or two, we will more than double the wattage where Compute This is heard across the country. Literally, we're going to have to rewrite the opener for the show if we do this. I mean, there's like a lot of logistical considerations, like, Nebraska's #1 independent computer repair company with service centers, and I don't care, and not close to me. This is Compute This. I mean, yeah, wow. So, we were spitballing in the store. What are we going to call this? Like, what do we say during our opener? I mean, is it too pretentious to say America's #1 independent computer repair company? I mean, I think that might be, I don't know, because, are there other larger independent computer repair companies in the United States that are located in more than one state? Maybe. Maybe there are. I guess I don't know of them, but maybe there are. So, yeah, I don't know, guys. So if you have ideas for our new opener, you can post those on Facebook, facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. 866-496-8772. Last week I brought you a story about, or actually it was 2 weeks ago, brought you the story about the Russians and the routers. And basically all the routers and almost all the big brands had been hacked, and that you needed to reboot your router and then you needed to update the firmware to keep it safe in the future so it didn't get hacked again. I was really proud because after I did the show, I was driving home, and on Fox News I heard, and this important story coming up at the bottom of the hour, your router might be infected. I'm like, yeah, I beat Fox News. Woohoo, we scooped you. And then, later on in the week, I get this text from Steve Lundy over at sister station KXKT The Cat. And he's like, hey, is this real? Because this sounds super scammy. I'm like, no, it's real. You need to reboot your router and update the firmware. And so then he posted it on the Cat Facebook page. And so many of their listeners said, yeah, I heard about this, but it sounded so scammy. I thought it was fake news or something. No, this is the real deal, guys. So let's go to the phones here real quick. Ed, welcome to the program. How can I help you on Compute This today?
Well, there was an article in the World Herald on Friday, page 8A, entitled, Should You Reboot Your Router, like the FBI says.
Gotcha.
And it talks about some Russian-associated hackers.
They're all Russian,
installing some firmware that puts it in the listening mode and then can do whatever it's later told to.
Oh, yeah.
And it concludes that, well, yeah, you ought to reboot your router, which I did.
Okay.
But then it probably won't do any good.
Yep, that's because they left off the second part of what you needed to do. You have to You have to reboot your router, and once you reboot the router, basically what happened is the FBI, there was they called a command and control server. So this is a web server, a computer on the internet that is set up all these routers now, and they're all pointing back at this command and control computer, waiting for instructions. And once the evil Russian henchman gives it instructions like, oh no, we can't have Bernie Sanders winning an election, so we have to make sure we do something for Trump, And so they send out their social media bots through all the routers, or whatever thing you want to make up. And all of a sudden, these routers all around the world all work in unison at the same time, sending messages, knocking down websites, doing things, whatever their operators want them to do. The FBI was able to neutralize the command and control server, which was great news. They knocked out the computer that was controlling all the routers. So now it's kind of like, if you imagine it like an army of robots. And how do you defeat an army of super advanced cybernetic warfare robots? Well, you kill the guy that's running the robots, or the command and control. You take out command and control. So that's what the FBI did. Now, like, all the robots just went, and they're just hanging there, but they're still very deadly, and they're still hanging right there for the next guy to come along and pop open a command and control server and just grab them all again. So basically, by rebooting your router, what you've done is any latent commands that your router may have been running, because your router is a computer. It has memory, it has RAM, it has a processor. It's a computer. It's a very small computer, but it's a computer. So you can run a program in it, and so by rebooting the router, you're clearing out that program. But like the World Herald article said, it probably won't do you much good because some other dude's just going to come along later and infect you again, right? So how do you prevent that? The answer is the second step of the process is to update your router's firmware. So you log into the router and you update the firmware. Now, we posted some instructions last week during the show at facebook.com/rockinnovations. It is different for every router, so it's impossible to talk someone through it over the phone. But we can assist you with the Schrock Desk and do it with you over the Schrock Desk if you want. It's an hour of labor for us to do it, but we can definitely get you logged into your router, check to see if there's new firmware, and if there is, we can install that new firmware, and we can also go through the security settings with you just to make sure that everything is locked down and secure on your router to make sure it's protected. All right, thanks for the call, Ed. I've got to run here. I'm way late on my bottom of the hour. Guys, when we come back, Amazon cuts off an entire continent. Amazon just said, no soup for you, Australia. Boom. Out. Peace. Tax us. How about that? How you like them apples? You ain't getting them prime. All right, more Compute This coming up next.
If you can dream it, Schrock Interactive's website developers can make it happen. Refresh your website, automate sales and marketing, and grow your business today with Schrock Interactive.
Welcome to Schrock Innovations. How can I help you today?
I'm having a problem with my computer.
You're at the right place. We fix problems with computers.
That's why I'm here.
What seems to be the problem with your computer?
When I press the power button, it doesn't boot up. How fast can you fix it?
We're the fastest computer fixer in Omaha. We'll fix it fast.
How fast?
Real fast. Do you have it plugged in when you turn it on?
Of course it was plugged in. Do people make that mistake a lot?
You'd be surprised. When you press the power button, what happens?
It roars, then stops and sits.
Ooh, like a lion?
Like a what? Well, I suppose.
Sounds like a bad power supply, sir.
Is that bad?
It's not good, but we can fix it fast.
How fast?
How's that for fast?
Does it work?
Yes, sir. More purring, less roaring now.
Wow, that was fast.
Schrock Innovations is the fastest computer repair in Omaha, sir.
That's great, but all this talking is making me hungry. You guys sell sandwiches?
We do fast computer repair. If you want a fast sandwich, you have to go someplace else. Why would we sell sandwiches?
I don't know. All this fast talking is strangely familiar.
Schrock Innovations. If you want a fast sandwich, don't go there. But if you want your computer fixed and back on your desk fast, give them a call or visit their website at SchrockInnovations.com. Compute this pro tip 843. Of all computer failures, the scariest and most expensive is the hard drive. But there are some steps you can take to save money and save your data before it's too late. Detecting failures early is important, so install a free utility like Drive Advisor from driveadvisor.com to monitor your hard drive's health and receive warnings when there's a problem. But most of all, hard drive failures happen slowly, so early detection is key to reducing the repair bill. Second, if your hard drive makes any unusual noises, immediately turn off your computer and do not turn it on again. These issues are physical problems, and the more you try to use it, the worse the damage becomes. Remember that most computer repair shops do not have the specialized equipment needed to recover data from a failed drive. Never open your drive or allow anyone else to do so. Open drives always cost more to recover. Schrock does not charge for data recovery evaluations and quotes, so let the local pros look at your drive before you make any recovery decisions. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Fox News Radio, I'm Carol McHugh. Saying it will be a beginning, President Trump's looking forward to the fast-approaching summit with North Korea's Kim Jong-un June 12th in Singapore. The goal remains unchanged.
Last month, North Korea invited foreign journalists to see what they said was the dismantling of a key nuclear test site. The Middlebury Institute for International Studies says in satellite images taken before the destruction of the site, you can see materials being removed from the site by people and also trucks. The U.S. wants to see complete and irreversible denuclearization of the Korean peninsula.
Fox's Ellison Barber. Humidity levels will be more comfortable in the Northeast and Ohio Valley today. Elsewhere, be on the lookout for storms.
Things are going to dry out, at least humidity-wise, quite a bit behind this front that's moving on through. Heavier rain moving in towards the mid-Atlantic, however, throughout the day today.
Fox meteorologist Rick Reichmuth. Fox News. We report, you decide.
Now, the News Radio 1110 KFAB Weather Watch.
Pleasant conditions will continue this weekend. Our temperatures by the afternoon will climb to 82 degrees under mostly sunny skies, with winds moving out of the northwest, gusting upwards of 30 miles per hour at times. Highs in the 80s will continue on Monday before we crank up the heat on Tuesday. With Omaha's most accurate weather team, I'm 6 News meteorologist Peter Sherwood on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back into Compute This. We are rolling on, half gone already. I feel like I've just been rambling this whole time. You guys really need to call 866-496-8772 because, my goodness, I just talk and talk and talk. And see, here's the problem. If we bring on a whole nother radio station that is going to cover multiple states, that is a lot of new listeners, which means I'm going to have to go back. Like, you guys have been listening for a long time. You know things now. Like, when I say you have to reboot your router, you don't go grab your toaster. I mean, seriously, no, that's where we have to start with people. I have to go back to the beginning and start over from the beginning, all over again. We haven't had to do that since we came on to the station, added the last big station. You know, I mean, then we had to go back and be like, okay, let me explain to you in epic detail exactly what Drive Advisor does. Now, see, I gloss over a lot of it in the last thing, you know, the last segment. I was like, it's this thing, it monitors your computer. I didn't go into, like, why we created it or, like, the cool stories about, you know, there's one ancillary benefit. I have to say this. There's one ancillary benefit to Drive Advisor. When we work on a drive in the service center and it's having problems, when we scan the drive, we have the option to just scan the drive, or we have the option to scan and repair the drive. So under scan and repair, scan would be obviously just looking at the drive, not making any changes to it. Takes the exact same amount of time. Scan and repair looks at the drive. If it sees errors, it makes an attempt to correct those errors. Here's the big part, temporarily, so the drive is stabilized for a clone. So that way we can copy everything off of it. So it moves all the data away from the bad areas. The bad areas continue to spread like a cancer, right? So let's just say you come into our service center with a computer and it's got a bad hard drive. And we run a scan on it, which we're going to do the stable. We want your computer back to you within 24 to 48 hours. So we don't have time to run like scan after scan after scan. We run the scan and repair. Because we figure if you say no, hey, we've done you a solid, we've stabilized it, it'll be good for another week or two, and then it's going to blow up in your face again. So we scan and repair so it's ready for a clone. Then we give you a call back, give you the quote, $200-300, new hard drive, clone, the whole bit. And you say, you know what, I think I want to get a second opinion. So you take your computer and you pick it up and you take it to another computer repair shop who checks the hard drive. And guess what they find? The hard drive seems to be working just fine. Those mean buggers at Schrock were just trying to take you for a ride. They were not being honest with you. They told you you had a bad hard drive when you didn't. Oh my gosh, the irate calls that we would get. Customers calling back, I can't believe you would do this. You know, I listen to you every week on the radio. And you're like, oh my gosh. I'll tell you what, why don't you come in? No, I'll tell you what, I will come to you because I can't have people thinking that we do that kind of stuff. It's like a cancer for a business. We do not do that. We don't tell people that things are broken when they're not broken, so we can just fix things that aren't broken. We don't cross that line. So I will come to you. I will get in my truck and drive to your home, and you can watch me boot off of the flash drive and run the test that will tell me the health percentage of your hard drive, and you're going to see that health percentage is exactly what I said it was, or maybe even less by now. Oh, no, blah, 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 blah. And then sure enough, like 2 weeks later, they come in with the hard drive. You guys, and it's funny because the memory is short then, because then the story is like, I just had this in like 2 weeks ago, and you guys did a maintenance checkup on it, and now it's not booting, and I think it's related to the work you did. And, we look back at the work order, we said, well, yeah, we did a maintenance checkup, but we told you the hard drive was bad. We stabilized it for a clone, but it was only going to last a couple weeks. Now you're back, and you want a warranty fix? Well, can't you just stabilize it again? There's a limit to how much you can prop up the caving in room, Sure you don't want us to replace the hard drive? No, the other place told me there's nothing wrong with it. And that's why we made Drive Advisor. Because now, independently, you, on your own computer, can watch the sudden and precipitous declining health of your hard drive so that you know independently, no matter where you go, that your hard drive is failing. 866-496-8772. Did we lose Mike? Yeah. Oh, we lost Mike. Oh, give us a call back, Mike. I think we dropped you there. I was just about to jump in and take your call there. All right, 866-496-8772. So one of the things that popped up in my newsfeed this week that was kind of interesting. So when you buy, and we've had customers, you might notice at Schrock, we still sell modular tablets with Windows, but we don't sell modular tablets with Android anymore. You ever wonder why that was? Basically, with an Android tablet, its lifespan is expected to be about a couple years. And then you have to update it to a new version of Android to maintain security. And if you don't do that, then all of a sudden you can't install apps, and it's a big mess. So some tablets can't run the new version of Android because obviously we didn't know what that version of Android was going to be before the tablet was made. As a result, they're not very modular, it seems. So we stopped making them because we can't make something that's not modular and just stamp the word modular on it and in kind of an Orwellian way, like, oh yeah, now it's modular. Look at that. But so basically we stopped selling the Android tablets because of this. But this is an interesting predicament. If you buy a smartphone or a tablet, most people who've had flip phones or other phones in the past, or the candy bar phones, they're used to having a cell phone for 5, 6, 7 years sometimes before they change it. With a smartphone, there's an assumption you're going to change your phone every 2 years. An assumption. If you keep it for 3, ooh boy, it's going to be a dog. In fact, if you have an iPhone, they might even throttle it, slow it down intentionally for your own safety, because the battery could explode or something. We never know. So if you have a phone, you haven't bought a new iPhone in 3 years, we might just slow your phone down so that it becomes darn near unusable, for your safety. And then that way you buy a new iPhone. Well, you could buy a new iPhone. You don't have to, but we're doing this for your safety. Yeah. So how long does a manufacturer actually have to update this tech? Now, when you buy a smartphone or a tablet, they don't say on the box, updates guaranteed for X years. It's just you're buying it and it works today. And there's a 1-year warranty on it. So there's an expectation from the manufacturer that it's going to work great for 1 year. And then after that, kind of on your own. So in the Netherlands, there was a court case this last week. The Dutch Consumers Association, or let's see this, Consumertenbond, sued Samsung in November of 16, arguing that the phone maker was obligated to keep customers' smartphones safe by providing timely Android updates for at least 2 years after buying them or 4 years after the phone's launch. Okay? So what they're saying is, if you just now bought your Samsung Galaxy S6, let's say, you got it for a penny when you got your new contract at T-Mobile or something. That means from 2 years from the date you bought the phone, Samsung would be required to patch it, even though it's already a 2-year-old model. Isn't that crazy? We're on the S9. It's a 3-year-old model. So it's a 3-year-old model, but they have to keep it up for 2 more years. And literally, this consumer association just pulled this out of the air and said, we're going to make this company do this. However, on Wednesday, the Hague Administrative Court, sounds like they wear wigs, ruled that the Netherlands case was inadmissible because the organization was trying to influence Samsung's future activities. So in other words, this was a dumb court case because they weren't suing Samsung for something that they have done already. They were suing them for something that they were going to do in the future. Apparently, pre-crime is still not a thing. So you can't sue them for doing something in the future. So if they would have found some guy that bought a smartphone that couldn't get updates and felt very unsafe, and as a result experienced anxiety, loss of income, health-related issues because of the anxiety and loss of income. He had to eat junk food all the time, and he was worried about his phone being safe, and it just became a death spiral. And eventually, he couldn't take it anymore. Perhaps he even had a mental illness as a result. Perhaps PTSD. These attorneys can come up with some pretty good stuff. If they would have had that guy, this could have been a real case. And we could have found out, did Samsung destroy this man's life by not updating his Android version on his 3-year-old phone? But they didn't do that. Basically, they took a situation where it said, quote, the technical circumstances are still unknown, therefore nothing can be decided regarding the nature and severity of any future security risks and Samsung's future actions. So the consumer group said they were disappointed, arguing that the court did not deal with the issue of whether Samsung's behavior constituted an unfair commercial practice. An unfair commercial practice. Like, we're going to sell you a piece of hardware, and if new security vulnerabilities come up in the future, we're not going to patch them forever for free. Now, I wonder if Samsung could solve this by saying, we'll do this for you. We can buy the phone, but then you have to pay a $400 annual fee for security updates. So if you really, really, really love this old ancient phone, you could pay the equivalent of a flagship phone price every year and get a free update. 866-496-8772. I doubt anyone would buy that. But the Dutch court system is saving Samsung from having to make that call. All right. We're going to take our final break of the program. When we come back, there's a lot of debate around what happens to the internet if you start taxing. If you start taxing transactions and taxing things. We're seeing it start to seep back in, sales tax and online purchases. Amazon's charging sales tax now to individual states. But what happens when a country decides, you know what, we're importing a lot of stuff. Amazon is importing a lot of stuff into our country. And, there's an adage in politics that the best people to tax are the people who don't vote. Meaning, you ever wonder why you pay a 27% hotel tax when you go to Florida? You don't vote in Florida. So they're going to tax the heck out of you. So wouldn't it be great if all this stuff being imported into our country could be taxed? Yeah. We would raise $300 million for the country. We could build roads with that. We could save some children with that. We could get some people to stop smoking with that. Or, we could have a lottery, or we could save the whales or whatever we want to do with that $300 million. Pretty crazy stuff. But who pays those taxes? All right, so here's what's going to happen. When we come back from the break, I'm going to give you a 101 on what happens when a country decides to do something like this, because Australia just did this. Amazon responded to it, and I'm going to tell you who pays the tax in the end coming up next on Compute This.
Drive Advisor is a free program from Schrock Innovations that monitors your hard drive's health and tells you if it's going bad. Download it for free at driveadvisor.com. External hard drives are handy. You can back up multiple computers to them or even use them to move lots of data from one computer to another. Computer users have been buying the same old external hard drives for years. While our computers have been getting faster, we still do backups that take hours or watch epic progress bars creep by to move files. Schrock wanted more for our customers, so our innovators created the fastest external hard drives on the planet. Schrock modular storage devices are up to 50% faster than Seagate or Western Digital externals and are modular in the truest sense of the word. We can create whatever size and speed of drive you need for all of your needs, and all modular storage devices come with a data restoration guarantee. If you use our drives for backing up and your computer's hard drive fails, we'll restore your backup to your repaired computer for free. Fast, simple, and flexible technology solutions from Schrock Innovations. It's what we do. Compute This Pro Tip 578. Technology is constantly changing, so how can you tell when the time has come to recycle your old outdated computer and invest in a new one? Experts have rules of thumb and formulas, but Schrock believes the answer is simple. You should replace your old computer when it can no longer do the things you need in a secure way. For example, you should not be using operating systems like Windows XP or Vista because they're no longer maintained by Microsoft and they're not secure. And if your computer cannot run Windows 10, it's probably time to begin saving for a replacement. If your existing computer requires a repair and that cost is 50% or more of the cost of a new computer, it might be time to consider a replacement. But keep in mind, additional costs like data transfers and important software you have to upgrade like genealogy software or Quicken. And also keep in mind that modern computers are engineered to last 18 months for a normal user. And don't worry, you are considered a normal user. Schrock modular PCs and solid-state laptops are specifically designed to last 4 to 6 years for that same normal user, saving your family money and time. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, guys, final segment of the program today. Thanks for joining us on the show today. Program note, there will not be an Aftershock this week. So after the show, we got some things we got to take care of, so there is no Aftershock this week. So if you have any questions, the time to ask them is now. 866-496-8772. All right, so this week, Australia decided that Amazon was shipping way too much. They were importing a lot of stuff into Australia. And as a result, it's very, very Trumpian, you know. They're importing a lot of stuff into Australia, and that stuff is being imported, and it's all under $1,000. And apparently in Australian law, if it's over $1,000, there's an import duty to be paid. But if you aggregated all the stuff that Amazon was shipping into Australia, it would be way more than 1,000 Australian dollars, right? So they passed a law that said the tax was now going to apply to every import under $1,000 as well. And all of a sudden, places like Amazon, Etsy, and Alibaba, which, you know, when we talk about Alibaba, you know, a lot of you probably think that that's like, you know, and the 40 Thieves, what is this? But Alibaba is a website. It's basically like a Chinese eBay, except you can work directly with manufacturers there. In Australia, this is a really big deal because Australia is geographically close to China, okay? So Alibaba was concerned about it because those are imports coming into Australia. So Australia is going to suddenly tax all this stuff. And Australia says, Amazon, you handle different tax rates for several states. So why can't you handle an import tax for Australia? On Thursday, Amazon responded by announcing that due to changes in the collection of Australia's GST, their tax, on low-value import items, Australians heading to Amazon.com would be redirected to Amazon.com.au and unable to purchase items from its U.S. store. So .com.au, that means .com.australia. So you could still buy stuff if you're an Amazon seller selling on Amazon in Australia, Or if you're buying things from an Amazon warehouse located in Australia, you'll still be able to purchase them. If you've ever tried to go to amazon.com.au and search for just stuff there that's not imported, there's a lot of stuff made in Australia. They have a very vibrant economy, but there's a lot of stuff imported. I mean, a lot. So Amazon completely cut them off. If you're selling things in Australia, it's subject to tax, is what Australia says. That's it. And it sounds very reasonable from a politician's perspective. If you're selling stuff in Australia, you will pay a tax. We're going to tax these big businesses, right? You don't get a special deal because you're a big company or a multinational. We're certainly not going to let that wash with this government. That's a quote. Okay. Quote, I think it's disappointing that Amazon would take this out on consumers in Australia. But that's their commercial decision, and if they want to take their bat and ball and go home, then I think Australians will form the same view about that, as they do about others that do that sort of thing in our community. Okay. Morrison went against his recent blah, 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 blah. They're talking about $300 million Australian of estimated revenue that would be going to states and territories to pay for hospitals, schools, police stations, and of course all the stuff. They never say to pay for pensions and to pay for employee raises. And they always tell you, it's like, if you don't do this, you're going to lose your fire department. You're going to lose your schools, things like that. That was the last school bond. They were like, yeah, we need the school bond because we have to harden the school. We got to put in, security cameras and locking doors. And I'm like, I can get that online. That's like the Ring video doorbell. It's like $200. Why do we need like a $5 million? We're going to build a school or two in there as well, but okay. I digress. I think it's very fair and reasonable, blah, blah, blah. If they don't want to sell things in Australia because they don't like paying tax, well, there are plenty of better options right here at home. That's it right there. There aren't. Australia does not have a native semiconductor industry. They don't have a native software development industry. I mean, of course, there's people there that build software, and of course, there's people there that work on microchips. But they don't have Intel. They don't have AMD. Those are things they're going to have to import and pay a tax. Now, what do you think happens? As a business owner myself, if all of a sudden, let's say that our Lincoln Service Center, the city of Lincoln said, Schrock, you build all your computers in Papillion, and then you transfer them to Lincoln from customers that buy them here because your warehouse is located in Papillion. We're going to tax you 25% on every computer you transfer from Papillion to Lincoln because we think you should be building those computers in Lincoln and using Lincoln employees to build them because anything you can do in Papillion, you can do right here in Lincoln just as good. And they're not wrong. I mean, we could build them in Lincoln, but a 25% tax when we already have the facilities and everything set up for this, that tax is going to get passed on to the customers that buy the product. It's going to drive up the price of the product. And this is one of the great myths. Companies don't pay taxes at all. Ever. People pay taxes. Companies don't pay taxes. People pay taxes. Companies are owned by people, first of all. People pay taxes. Companies don't just pay the tax and foot the bill out of the goodness of their community. They pass that cost on to consumers in the cost of their goods. The cost of what you pay for things builds that tax burden into it. So now you know what it's going to cost to do that. Okay, so as a result, now Amazon is not going to sell in Australia. What do you think is going to happen? Because Amazon has literally laid a precedent down here. So there's plenty of other options right here in Australia. What happens when there is not? What happens when eBay does the same thing? What happens when Etsy does the same thing? What happens when Alibaba does the same thing? All of a sudden, people in Australia aren't going to be able to buy the goods and services that they're used to buying, and as a result, they're going to get a little ticked off at their politicians. So taking their ball and bat and going home is not exactly what they did. Amazon said we don't want to pay the tax, and yes, we don't want to pay the tax because it's going to make us uncompetitive. Because when we push that tax, we pass that tax on to your customers, your Australian users. They're not going to buy the products anymore because they're going to be too expensive. That was the answer. If Amazon would have been giving an answer, that's the answer to give. It would have made us not competitive because we don't know for sure that everybody else is going to push the taxes on. Amazon is already operating on a razor-thin margin, so you know what? I think it would be better if we just took, we're not going to lose money, so let's just not sell to Australia. If our choice is to lose money and sell in Australia or not sell in Australia and not lose money, the right business decision is to not sell in Australia. I don't think the politicians believe that Amazon would do that. And now they have. Because Amazon pays sales taxes in states, so why would this be any different, right? Because this is on top of the sales taxes. This is an additional tax. So anyway, this is a cautionary tale. When you assume that big companies will always do business in your state or your municipality because they always have in the past, and you can tax them whatever you want, just look at what Seattle just did to Amazon. They're building that giant headquarters in Seattle, and then Seattle just placed a huge tax on Amazon after they'd started construction, saying, okay, you're a big business, so now we're going to tax the heck out of you to raise money for a homeless situation that you're causing because, people are in the community want to move here, and you're causing homelessness now. My goodness. Watch out, guys. All right. Kathy, I apologize. I don't think I'm going to have time to get to your router question here today. As far as updating the router, give us a call in the service center, guys. We're open Saturday from 10 to 8, Sundays from noon to 5. Give us a call in the service center. We can help you over the phone. We can try to step you through it a little bit. It's a little complex to do over the phone, but we can do it over a Schrock desk with you. It's 1 hour of labor for us to do that, but we can get your router updated so that it has the most current firmware. We can double check all your security settings to make sure they're all secure and good to go. And then that way you know that your router is safe and Russian free. We should have a Russian free stamp, like boom. You can stamp right on the router there. All right, today's winner, $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate, is Ed. Congratulations. Ed was the only caller that got in. Kathy, you were in the drawing. It was a 50-50 shot, but Ed won. So, Ed, congratulations. Christine will get you that $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate here this week in the old snail mail. And I'll talk to Alfonso about getting that corrected so that we have something we can use on the online as well. We'll probably still have to send it snail mail, but then we can give you a code that you can use online too. All right, guys, thanks for joining us on the program. We'll see you again next week for another exciting edition of Compute This.
From the Millard Roofing Studios, we've got you covered. This is News Radio 1110 KFAB, Omaha.